Good morning. It is Monday, August the 27th. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend. Taking a look at the charts, we've got some pretty major price action that we've been watching slowly unfold, waiting for a major either a breakdown or a breakout in precious metals, which everybody's been patiently waiting about a year for, even longer for silver. So let's just start off with the US dollar index. Here you can see we're zoomed out about 3 years, and you can see the upper range, the lower range where the US dollar has been bouncing around, and you can see we're working our way up towards this upper channel, this upper resistance level, and we're still holding a key green support trend line, and we're getting down at that level. Zooming in a little bit, you can see we've got this nice kind of falling wedge. We're down in a support zone that has previously acted as a key level. Overall, we've got this weekly green chart trend line, which is going to act as a really major support level. From there, if we see the US dollar start another rally, which we've been waiting for several weeks, then we're going to see stocks and commodities start to pull back fairly sharply. The US dollar continues to linger down in this area. It's trying to find a bottom, a base, and really until it either breaks down. If the US dollar does break down below this level, then we're probably going to see stocks and commodities rally very strong. We're going to see the big precious metals breakout, which everybody's been looking and waiting for. But if we do see the US dollar put in a bounce, because we are coming down to a weekly support level and also on a daily and 4-hour chart, falling wedge bullish pattern, if we do find support here, which I think is still highly likely, that when it starts to move, I think we're going to see everything reverse and see stocks and commodities pull back. So this is a pretty major pattern we're looking for. Again, this is a weekly and a shorter term price pattern that is starting to become very bullish, and it could take even another week or two or even more to play out here. This is a pretty big picture chart, but overall I still am bullish on precious metals until we actually break this green line and see things really start to move and fall lower and money pile into risk on, which is stocks and commodities. Looking at zooming into the US dollar this morning, you can see here we're pretty much seeing it trade a little higher this morning from where it closed on Friday. Overall, nothing special. It's kind of more or less just trading sideways. It's up a fraction of a percent. And seeing how that's playing into commodities, let's take a look at crude oil. Here's a 4-hour chart of crude oil. Now I'm zoomed out 2 years here so you can see the big picture. We came all the way down several months ago, formed a double bottom, found weekly chart pattern support, and we've seen a nice rally into there, and now we're up into this resistance zone, which is between the 96.50 and 100 level, which you can see here is a breakdown level. Lots of consolidation through there, another pivot high, consolidation, pivot low, breakout above that level. So there's going to be lots of resistance here. If we zoom in, you can see we had a pullback last week, pretty much called that little top there, so showing that how it's been running up a little bit of a support trend line, really tight here, and once it broke that level, we'd see a quick $1 or $2 or $3 drop, which we did get, and now you can see it's starting to become a little more volatile. We could see a push higher, but overall, I was pointing out we may see a topping pattern form here in the next week or so, and from there we could easily see crude oil start to pull back if the US dollar can find a bottom here. Looking at natural gas has been getting more and more volatile. We've seen it pull back. Let me just zoom out a little bit. You can see here on this bigger chart we've got a key support level, which is still trading down below the current price action. Recently we've seen natural gas kind of broaden. We see it push to a short-term new high, and we see it get pushed all the way down to a new low, and then we see it get pushed up again. It's really ping-ponging around. Broadening formations generally bearish, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see it finally break down, shake the market out here, hit a major support trend line on the daily chart, and also it would be a nice 5-wave, more or less, little correction or mini trend to the downside, and we'll be looking to catch a trend reversal for the next move higher after that. But we'll see how things play out. Zooming into this morning, you can see where we're trading. Friday we closed right down near the low. We're having a little bit of a move up this morning, but overall I do feel as though it's priming itself for one more thrust to the downside down to about the 260 level or even further. Again, the longer something trades in a channel here, the more power it has when it breaks out. You kind of just picture it as a floor and a ceiling in an apartment building. More or less, you take the same channel, you can flip it to the downside. Once it breaks through this floor, it will fall to the next floor, which is usually a measured move. So you've got this move down, you've got a flag, you get that same move down again, and it'll touch the floor here. When the ball hits the floor, it usually bounces, and it'll come up, hit the ceiling, and could start to form a bottoming pattern and eventually move higher on the bigger chart. So that's a simple way of looking at where things should move going forward. And again, this 260 level is a pretty key support trend line on the daily chart. So we'll be keeping our eyes open for another drop in natural gas and looking to probably pick something up. Now, I know on the daily chart and intraday charts, this level here has been pretty key. A lot of people have been trying to pick up natural gas thinking it was the bottom. Generally, when most people see that and think that, that's generally when the market is going to shake everybody out with another drop. So I know a lot of people were saying that they're into natural gas and they keep scaling in and adding more and more. In my opinion, I think it's a little kind of obvious, and I think we're going to get that final washout, which will give you an optimum entry point, and everybody else will get shaken out, and we'll get in at a key time when it reverses and starts to head higher. Looking at precious metals, this is the kind of the everybody's really got their focus on. Here's the gold chart zoomed out a year and change. You can see we're trading back up at resistance. A couple key things to look at here, simply the previous moves here. We've seen a nice run up into resistance when it topped out. We saw the next major touch point when it had a nice strong run up. We're back to that nice strong run up again. We are at resistance trend line. A lot of people are really anticipating and expecting this to break out, and again, it has yet to really break out, but overall we are very close to this level. This has been a pretty major consolidation. The previous trend was up in gold, so this is a nice big bull flag. If it breaks to the upside, we'll probably be seeing $2,300–2,400 an ounce in gold, but overall the price action is still showing that we have yet to break out. We've got similar price action to what happens. You see a breakout of some previous high, some previous resistance levels, and a lot of short covering. A lot of people jump on the long train, and eventually hits resistance and pulls back extremely sharply. You can see the strong pullback. Eventually it drags out and continues to bleed off. Very similar to here, you see a strong pullback and then eventually continues to bleed off. So we've got to be very cautious. Obviously, I don't think there's as much of a bleed off here. If it is to sell off, we do have support right across this low around the 1560, 1520 area. So there is potential for it to pull back even that much, but overall we've got a close eye on it. Same with silver and gold miners to see what happens if it can actually break out and start to make a move higher. But overall, in my opinion, we're still neutral and still in a downtrend for both precious metals, silver and gold. Looking at silver, just to pull it up real quick, here's a silver chart, very similar to gold. Again, you get these strong run-ups right up into resistance. You can see what's happened after each time that has happened, and again, key support is somewhere right across here on the 27, so there is potential for it to continue to pull back at that level, and so that's kind of where we stand in precious metals. Looking at gold miners, here is the daily chart of gold miners. You can see here we're trading right at the resistance level here again. We do have a moving average here to breakthrough. We have this previous high we still have yet to break through right here. Just draw that across here. You can see we've got that level, and we've got this key resistance level over here too. So there's still a lot of work to be done. It looks as though gold miners are trying to put in a bottom. We are seeing a higher low, and we haven't made a higher high yet, and we're still under key resistance. So they're still technically in a downtrend, but threatening to break out for a major run. Looking at bonds, we saw money more or less move into bonds last week, and we went into this falling wedge down into support, pierced this pivot low over here, and once we got that pierce, we saw a nice bounce right up into the next resistance zone, which was right across this level through here. So where this previous consolidation is, there's a lot of contracts traded hands there. That's naturally going to be where it's going to stall out, and that's where it's trading at right now. It's also a downtrend line from these past two previous peaks. So we're going to keep our eye on that. But overall, the whole market is at a major tipping point here, and everything's coming down to daily and weekly chart setups. So we're close to a very big move either to the up or the downside for stocks and commodities. And really, I think traders are going to be trading in limbo. It's one of the reasons we're seeing very light volume. It's the end of summer. Everything's trading up at resistance levels or key support levels. And we need something just to tip it beyond those levels. And then we're going to see things probably pick up speed in a huge move going forward September, October, November. Looking at the SPY, the SP 500, just to point out a few things on this chart, we eventually took a short somewhere right over here, pretty much right the day of the top. That was because we were at a downward trend line. We are also into going right through this previous noise right over here, which was through the middle of this consolidation. It was an upward trend line. We had the cycles all top out up here. We took a nice short, caught a nice play there. We never did get another big push all the way up to that upper trend line. We never ever did take another short at that level, nor did we take one over here, just because we weren't pushed up into extreme levels. Sentiment wasn't reaching real extremes. Eventually we saw the price get to that level and continue to grind. We saw these short-term pivot lows working higher and higher on these yellow spikes, and eventually we want to see some type of breakdown, which now we've seen a little bit of a breakdown to a new low. Overall, we had the market top out here. We came right back up into this upper resistance level, and the key one was we pierced to a new high, and we actually took a short position using the VIX, the VXX, pretty much right near the top. Got a nice 5% drop here. Friday we saw a nice bounce. We got stopped out on the balance of our position for about a 3.8 or 4.8% profit over the entire position. And right now we'll be looking for a new setup, because overall this 20-day moving average is trending up, and we don't want to hold it any short position. If we get a strong bounce off that, it can act as support pretty well. So we're going to be looking for a new setup for either a short or a long, and really depends on the intraday price action going forward this week. Looking at the intraday futures chart, you can see where things are flowing for the SP 500. This is the past 6 trading sessions. Overall, you can just connect these highs. Friday we had a strong rally, started at 10:30, pushed all the way up, closed very strong on the session. In overnight trading last night and this morning, you can see it's been trading sideways, starting to push back up. Looks as though we've broken this little bit of a 1, 2, 3 wave correction. Now it's starting to form a nice bull flag. Looks as though it wants to go higher today. So we're going to see how things play out in the momentum today, and look for either setups to either go long or short. Really depends on what the US dollar is starting to do, and how everything is reacting, bonds and volatility. So we'll kind of take it one day at a time here this week and see what kind of setups we get going forward. Anyways, that's it for now, and I'll talk to you in a little bit. Bye bye.